Redesign request, part 3. Doomslayer. Now, he was the hardest one since I tried to avoid recolors, and he has a lot of lore surrounding him. I removed the bare arms and changed the color scheme slightly as well, and I gave him some red accents to his armor just so he looks like he actually belongs in hell slaying demons, and I also helped him not look so monotone or just like Master Chief. I also wanted to change his helmet to look sort of skeletal and military at the same time. And I then modified his armor a little, and I just gave him some spikes just to look more badass. Hit Girl and Big Daddy from the movie Kick-Ass. Now, I didn't like her suit that she has in the movie, and instead went with a more tactical approach, resembling her dad's sort of batsuit design. It's kind of like a cross between Batman and Robin, so I just leaned into that, and I kept her wig that she wears in the movie, and I changed her color scheme as well. I also added this retractable little boot blade that she has, just as a nice little touch. Big Daddy is heavily inspired by Batman, but more lethal, so I armored him up heavily as a nod to his look in the comics, and I gave him some blades on the side of his arms. I also added the logo to his chest to look more like Batman inspired, and I removed the goatee prosthetics that he wears in the movie underneath his cowl. I also added some more weapons to the loadout, just to make him look cooler. Freddie Mercury. Thrag. Now, the suit that he has in the comics is the one that I wanted to go with, but is a huge spoiler, so I had to work around that and just go with his default look. Now, in the show's flashback scene, we see a community of Viltrumites with hoods, and they all look so sick. So I wanted to give the Emperor of Viltrum a more distinguished trait from all the other Viltrumites that I've redesigned before. I wanted him to be the same colors as the rest of them to represent Viltrum, and I made him sleeveless as well to show off those guns. I also made this little symbol, which I explained the reason for with Krieg in my last video, so be sure to check that out. Pitt. Now, he is awesome. He literally smooshes Invincible from an alternate universe, so he definitely deserves some love. Now, to avoid him looking like Grey Hulk, I gave him some chest hair, and I also got rid of his ponytail. I gave him a sleeveless jacket that fits, and I put on some spikes on his shoulders just to make him look more like an alien monster. And I gave him these larger ears and eyes just to look a little more alien as well. He's got these chains wrapped around him too, but I thought he could use them as weapons from his time being captive. And he also has these massive claws, so I made his boots torn open too, just from his time when he's using them. Judge Dredd. Now, I went with an inspired look from the movie with Karl Urban, which I would highly recommend watching. It's really good, by the way. I added his gun and a nightstick just for dishing out some justice, and I gave his badge the American flag on it too. I also added some more gold to him with some armored pads, sort of resembling the bald eagle design that he has on his badge. Lastly, I gave his shoulder pads some built-in siren lights, because his visor can withstand flashbangs, so I thought some lights wouldn't really matter to him, and also crime would see him coming. Radiant Black. Now, I know next to nothing about him, but he has a lot of friends and foes with similar designs and patterns, so I tried to avoid doing the same ones. I made his logo line the suit with a slight glow, which I really liked, and I also wanted his visor to be more expressive, so I added in a digital part for his mouth too. I then gave him a couple pieces of armor as well, since he is wearing a helmet, which I just thought would make more sense. Carnage. Now, there's so many different versions and styles of this guy, so I went with a scrap suit design that I had saved before that was sort of loosely based on the symbiote god version. Now, I gave him some clawed feet because I think symbiotes with shoe shapes just kind of look weird and inorganic. And I took inspiration from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic version with the torso, and I added some needle-like spikes as well. And of course, I had to add in some tendrils whipping around his body just to give him a sort of chaotic, deadly look. I also took inspiration from the Insomniac version of Cletus Cassidy with his burnt-up hands, so I gave him these black speckled designs on his hands and feet. Let me know what you think and what characters you'd like to see me redesign next. I have a long list to work down, so I'll most likely just pick my favorites, but they're much appreciated.